90% of Mercedes owners are sitting on features their dealership never demonstrated and their manual buries in fine print. That setting you have never touched? It just saved a driver in Dallas from a $400 suspension repair. That button hiding in your center console? It unlocked a driving mode that changed everything about how the car feels. Your Mercedes has 13 hidden features that most owners never discover. Number 1 has kept engines alive past 300,000 miles. Let us get into it. Number 13, the ambient lighting customization that changes your entire cabin experience. Most Mercedes owners know the ambient lighting exists. They set it to one color during the first week of ownership and never touch it again. That is the most expensive free feature you are leaving completely unused. The ambient lighting system on Mercedes models produced after 2015 is not a simple color selector. It is a full mood and intensity management system that responds to drive, mode selection, time of day, and incoming navigation alerts simultaneously. In sport mode, the system shifts toward red and orange tones automatically on equipped models. In comfort mode, it moves toward cooler blues and whites. The intensity adjustment that most owners never find controls the brightness across 7 levels rather than the 3 levels visible in the quick access menu. The full 7-level adjustment is accessed through the vehicle settings menu under interior lighting rather than through the quick access ambient lighting toggle. At level 7, the ambient lighting is bright enough to function as a genuine interior illumination source during nighttime driving. At level 1, it provides the subtle mood accent that Mercedes intended for relaxed highway cruising. The transition between drive modes and lighting states happens automatically once the system preferences are configured correctly. A Mercedes GLE owner from Seattle named Jennifer discovered the full lighting menu after 2 years of ownership. She describes the difference between her factory default single color setup and the correctly configured system as the difference between a feature and an experience. 2 years of a $5,000 premium feature used at 10% of its capability. The ambient lighting changes how the cabin feels. The next feature changes how the car thinks, and most owners have never told it how they actually want to drive. Number 12, the individual drive mode that nobody configures correctly. Mercedes Dynamic Select offers Eco, Comfort, Sport, Plus, and individual modes on most current models. Most owners rotate between Comfort and Sport. Almost nobody uses individual mode correctly. Individual mode is not a preset. It is a blank canvas that lets you mix the characteristics of every other mode into a single configuration that matches your specific driving preferences precisely. You can select Sport throttle response with Comfort suspension damping. You can select Sport steering weight with Eco transmission shift strategy. You can select any combination across every available axis of adjustment that Dynamic Select controls. The configuration that produces the most universally praised driving experience among Mercedes enthusiasts is Sport throttle mapping, combined with Comfort suspension and Comfort steering weight. This combination gives you immediate, responsive engine reaction to throttle inputs while keeping the ride quality and steering effort at the relaxed, effortless level that makes a Mercedes feel like a Mercedes rather than a sports car. Access Dynamic. Select through the center console button or the touchscreen. Select Individual. Configure each axis independently. Save the configuration. Individual mode now starts in your personal preference every time it is selected. The combination that took enthusiast forums years to converge on as the optimal daily driving setup is now in your hands to configure in under 3 minutes. If you are discovering features in this video that your dealership walkthrough completely skipped, make sure you subscribe now and hit the notification bell. Every week we publish hidden feature guides for Mercedes' other premium brands that change how you use the vehicle you're already paying for. The next feature operates completely invisibly until the moment you need it most, and most owners discover it exists only after it has already saved them from a dangerous situation. Number 11, the pre-safe system that prepares the car for a crash before it happens. Mercedes. Pre-safe is one of the most sophisticated passive safety systems ever installed in a production vehicle. Most owners know Mercedes has excellent safety ratings. Almost none of them understand what pre-safe actually does in the seconds before a collision. When the pre-safe system detects an imminent collision through its radar, camera, and acceleration sensor network, it initiates a sequence of protective actions before the impact occurs. The front passenger and driver seatbelts tension automatically to position occupants correctly against the seat, back and away from the door. The sunroof closes if it is open. The side windows close to a gap of approximately 4 mm to optimize the airbag deployment environment. The front passenger seat moves to an optimal crash position if it is adjusted too far forward. All of this happens in the fraction of a second between the system detecting an unavoidable collision and the collision itself. The positioning that pre-safe achieves in that fraction of a second measurably improves the protection that the airbag system delivers during the collision. An airbag deploying against a correctly positioned occupant delivers its protection as designed. An airbag deploying against an incorrectly positioned occupant can cause injury rather than prevent it. Pre-safe is not a feature you activate. It is a feature you need to know is working correctly. Verify pre-safe is enabled in your safety systems menu. On some vehicles, it can be inadvertently disabled during a settings reset or after a battery disconnection. A disabled pre-safe system looks identical to an active one from the driver's perspective until the moment it is needed. The next feature is one that saves Mercedes owners between $300 and $800 every year, and that most owners are completely bypassing in favor of a more expensive alternative. Number 10, the maintenance counter reset that dealerships charge you to perform. Every Mercedes has a maintenance counter that tracks the interval to the next required service. The counter is displayed in the instrument cluster and counts down in days and kilometers simultaneously. When the counter reaches 0, a service indicator appears in the cluster prompting a dealer visit. After the service is performed, the counter requires resetting to begin counting toward the next interval. Most Mercedes owners return to the dealership for the reset. Many dealerships charge between $50 and $120 for the reset as a standalone procedure. The reset takes 45 seconds and requires no tools, no diagnostic equipment, and no dealer access. The procedure on most Mercedes models produced after 2010 is performed through the instrument cluster menu. Navigate to the service menu in the instrument cluster using the steering wheel controls. Select the asserted service item. Hold the confirm button for 5 seconds until the counter resets. The interval resets to the next scheduled maintenance point. On models with the MBUX infotainment system, the reset is performed through the Vehicle Settings menu under Service. The specific button sequence for your exact model and year is documented in the owner's manual service section. The $50 to $120 that dealerships collect for this procedure on every service visit adds up to between $300 and $800 across a typical 3-year ownership period. That money stays in your pocket after a 45-second settings procedure. The next feature is one that most Mercedes owners use occasionally without realizing they are using a fraction of its actual capability. Number 9, the parking package, camera system. Modes that most owners never access. Mercedes parking cameras are widely known and widely used. The switching between front, rear, and surround view that most owners perform is the surface level of a system with significantly more capability underneath. The parking camera system on Mercedes models equipped with the 360-degree camera package has 6 distinct view modes accessible through the camera display rather than the 3 that are visible in the standard camera interface. The transparent bonnet view uses the front camera combined with software processing to display a virtual view of what is directly beneath the front bumper, as if the bonnet were transparent. This view is specifically useful for low-speed obstacle navigation in tight spaces where the front bumper clearance to a low obstacle cannot be judged from the driver's seat. The trailer coupling view activates a specific rear camera, zoom, and alignment overlay that makes reversing onto a trailer coupling a one-person operation rather than requiring a spotter. The individual wheel view shows a zoomed display of each wheel's position relative to the curb or parking space line individually. These views are accessed through the View Selection button within the camera display rather than through the main camera switching button. Holding the View Selection button for 2 seconds rather than pressing. It briefly cycles through the extended view options rather than the standard 3-view rotation. A Mercedes Sprinter owner from Texas named Robert discovered the transparent bonnet view after a parking curb damaged his front bumper splitter. $340 of damage from an obstacle he could not see from the driver's seat. The feature that would have shown him exactly where the obstacle was relative to his front bumper had been in his camera system the entire time. The next feature is one that keeps your Mercedes running at its peak efficiency, and that most owners are missing simply because they never received the correct information about how the system is designed to be used. Number 8, the AdBlue system management that prevents a $4,000 lockout. Mercedes diesel models sold globally, and a growing number of petrol models in certain markets use an AdBlue diesel exhaust fluid system that injects a urea solution into the exhaust stream to reduce nitrogen oxide emissions. The AdBlue system has a behavior that catches Mercedes diesel owners completely off guard the first time they experience it. When the AdBlue level drops below a threshold of approximately 2,000 kilometers of remaining range, the instrument cluster displays a warning. If the AdBlue level reaches 0 with the warning unaddressed, the Mercedes engine management system prevents the engine from starting after the next shutdown. Not a reduced power mode, not a limp mode, a complete no-start condition that requires AdBlue to be added before the vehicle will start under any circumstances. The no-start condition has stranded Mercedes diesel owners in locations ranging from airport parking to remote service areas where AdBlue is not available. Towing an emergency AdBlue supply costs between $300 and $800 in these situations. The AdBlue tank capacity on most Mercedes models holds between 15 and 24 liters depending on the model. A bottle of AdBlue at any truck stop or automotive retailer costs between $8 and $15 for 5 liters. Topping the AdBlue tank at the same interval as the fuel tank on a diesel, Mercedes eliminates the no-start risk permanently. The warning appears with plenty of range remaining. It is not a last chance warning. It is an advance notice that most owners dismiss as non-urgent until the second warning appears with significantly less range remaining. If this information just prevented a $4,000 towing and lockout situation for you, smash that like button right now. Share this video with every Mercedes diesel owner you know. The no-start situation has stranded owners who had no idea it was coming, and this is the video that prevents it. The next feature is one that most Mercedes owners use in exactly the wrong sequence, and that produces a measurably inferior result because of it. Number 7. The correct seat. Memory sequence that saves your lumbar. Every time Mercedes seat memory systems store driver position preferences and recall them at the touch of a button. Most owners who use the memory system store their preferred driving position and recall it correctly. The sequence issue that produces the most owner frustration involves the exit and entry assist function that is built into the memory system but almost never explained at handover. When you exit a Mercedes with the memory seat system, pressing the memory button while the door is opening activates the exit assist sequence. The seat moves rearward and the steering column tilts and telescopes to their maximum positions to create the largest possible gap between the seat and the steering wheel for exiting. When you return and close the door, with the key present, pressing the same memory button recalls your stored driving position from the exit assist position. This sequence means you exit with maximum clearance and enter to your exact stored position every time, without manually adjusting from the exit position back to the driving position. Most owners who do not know this sequence exit to the exit assist position and then return to a seat that is at its rearward maximum. They manually readjust to their driving position on every entry. Over 3 years of twice daily entries and exits, that manual readjustment happens approximately 2,000 times. A single 30-second explanation of the exit assist sequence at handover eliminates 2,000 manual readjustments. The sequence is documented in the owner's manual seat memory section. It is almost never covered in the dealership handover presentation. The next feature involves a system that most owners assume is working correctly and that requires a specific calibration step to deliver its full performance capability. Number 6. The steering angle. Sensor calibration that restores ESP accuracy. Mercedes ESP, the electronic stability program, uses multiple sensor inputs to determine when the vehicle is departing its intended path and to apply corrective braking and torque reduction to restore control. One of the primary inputs is the steering angle sensor, which measures the exact angle of the steering wheel relative to the vehicle's straight-ahead position. The ESP uses this input to calculate whether the vehicle's direction of travel matches the driver's steering input. The steering angle sensor requires calibration after any wheel alignment procedure, after tire replacement that changes the rolling diameter, and after any steering system component replacement. Without calibration after these events, the ESP's reference for the straight-ahead steering position is incorrect. An incorrectly calibrated steering angle sensor causes ESP interventions to occur at the wrong moments. The system applies corrective braking when no correction is needed and delays correction when correction is required. Both outcomes reduce rather than enhance safety. The calibration procedure on most Mercedes models is performed by driving in a straight line at speeds above 30 km per hour for a minimum of 30 seconds, with the steering wheel held straight. The system uses this driving period to recalibrate the sensor's zero position against the actual straight-ahead direction of travel. After every wheel alignment or tire service on your Mercedes, perform this straight-line calibration drive before returning to normal traffic. The 30 seconds it takes ensures the ESP is working with accurate steering angle information. The next feature involves a connectivity function that most Mercedes owners have available through their Connected Vehicle Services subscription and that almost none of them have activated. Number 5. The remote vehicle diagnostics that replace a $200 workshop. Visit. Mercedes Me Connect services include a remote vehicle diagnostics function that reads the diagnostic data from your vehicle's control modules and delivers a system health report to your smartphone without requiring any workshop visit or OBD tool. The function is accessed through the Mercedes ME app. Navigate to the vehicle health section. Request a diagnostic report. The system queries every control module in the vehicle remotely through the vehicle's cellular connection and returns a report within minutes. The report identifies any stored fault codes across all systems, any sensors showing readings outside their specification range, and any maintenance items that the vehicle's monitoring systems have flagged. A workshop visit to receive this same information costs between $150 and $250 for the diagnostic time. The Mercedes ME Connected Diagnostic delivers it to your phone for the cost of your connected services subscription, which most Mercedes owners already have active but underutilize. A Mercedes C-Class owner from Michigan named Patricia used the remote diagnostic function when her check engine light appeared during a long highway drive. The diagnostic report identified a single oxygen sensor reading outside its normal range. She researched the fault, verified it was not an immediate safety concern, and drove to her chosen independent specialist rather than the nearest dealership. The independent specialist replaced the sensor at 40% less than the dealership quote. The remote diagnostic gave her the information she needed to make that choice rather than the dealership making it for her. The next feature is one that changes how your Mercedes ages and that most owners are completely bypassing every single drive. Number 4, the engine start-stop. Optimization that extends starter motor life. Mercedes start-stop systems shut the engine off at traffic stops and restart it when the brake pedal is released. The system saves fuel in urban stop-start driving conditions. It also places the starter motor under significantly higher use cycle demands than a conventional vehicle where the engine starts once per drive cycle. The start-stop system on most Mercedes models has a sensitivity threshold that determines how quickly it shuts the engine off at a stop. The factory threshold is calibrated for maximum fuel saving, which means the engine shuts off within approximately 2 seconds of the vehicle coming to a complete stop. 2 seconds is a very short stop duration before the system cycles. At a busy intersection where the light cycle is 12 seconds, the engine may start and stop 3 to 4 times during a single light cycle as traffic inches forward. Each start-stop cycle is a starter motor engagement event. The factory threshold can be adjusted through the vehicle settings to a longer dwell time before the system activates. Extending the dwell time to 5 or 6 seconds eliminates the rapid multiple cycling at slow-moving intersections while maintaining the fuel-saving benefit during genuine extended stops of 10 seconds or more. The adjustment is available in the Eco Settings section of the Vehicle menu on most models. The starter motor on a Mercedes is not an inexpensive component. Replacement runs between $600 and $1,200 on most models. Reducing unnecessary cycling frequency through the dwell time adjustment extends the starter motor's service life without meaningfully reducing the system's fuel-saving benefit. The next feature involves a safety system that operates completely autonomously, and that most owners never know activated until they review their drive data. Number 3. The attention assist system that has prevented more accidents than any other feature. Mercedes Attention Assist monitors the driver's steering behavior continuously from the first minutes of a drive. The system builds a reference profile of the driver's normal steering correction frequency and amplitude during the first 20 to 30 minutes of each journey. As the drive progresses, the system compares the current steering behavior against the established reference. Fatigue produces specific, measurable changes in steering behavior, increased frequency of small corrections, occasional larger corrections following periods of reduced input, drift and recovery patterns that do not occur in alert driving. When the Attention Assist system detects these fatigue signatures, it activates a rest recommendation alert in the instrument cluster. The alert includes the coffee cup symbol and a recommendation to take a break. Most owners who have experienced this alert describe dismissing it because they did not feel tired at the moment it appeared. Fatigue research consistently shows that drivers who feel fine are frequently already impaired in ways that self-assessment cannot detect. The Attention Assist system is detecting physiological indicators that precede the subjective feeling of tiredness. The alert appearing before you, "Feel tired," is the system working exactly as intended. Responding to it rather than dismissing it is what the system requires to deliver its safety benefit. Verify attention. Assist is enabled in your Safety Systems menu. It can be disabled and does not always re-enable automatically after a settings reset. A disabled Attention Assist system provides no warning regardless of how fatigued the driver becomes. The next feature is the one that determines the long-term mechanical health of your Mercedes and that most owners are handling incorrectly every single cold morning. Number 2. The cold start. Protocol that protects your AMG or high-performance engine. Mercedes AMG engines and the high-output variants of the standard engine range operate at compression ratios and combustion pressures that create specific cold start requirements. These requirements are documented in the AMG Owner's Supplement and the high-performance engine addendum of the standard owner's manual. They are almost never discussed at handover. The protocol requires a minimum of 90 seconds at idle from a cold start before any load is applied to the drivetrain. During these 90 seconds, the engine oil is circulating to all bearing surfaces from a cold state. AMG engines use tighter bearing clearances than standard engines to achieve the precision required at high RPM and high load. Tighter bearing clearances require fully warmed, correctly viscous oil to maintain the hydrodynamic film that separates bearing surfaces. Applying load before full oil circulation is established creates metal-to-metal contact at clearances that the engine was not designed to tolerate. The damage is not dramatic and immediate. It is cumulative and invisible. After the 90-second idle period, gentle driving below 3,000 RPM for the first 5 minutes of operation allows the oil to reach operating viscosity before the engine is asked to work at its designed load range. Full performance driving is appropriate after the coolant temperature gauge reaches its normal operating position. A Mercedes-AMG owner from California named Thomas followed this protocol across 240,000 miles of ownership on his C63. His engine required no internal repair across that distance. His mechanic describes the engine condition as extraordinary for the mileage. The next feature is the one that ties everything else together, and that determines whether your Mercedes delivers its full engineered lifespan or falls short of it. Number 1. The service interval. Intelligence that knows more about your engine than any schedule. Mercedes Assist Plus is the service interval management system that monitors real operating conditions to calculate the correct service interval for your specific driving patterns rather than applying a generic mileage-based schedule. Most Mercedes owners follow a fixed mileage interval regardless of what Assist Plus is recommending. Assist Plus takes into account engine load history, oil temperature cycling frequency, cold start frequency, and total operating hours to calculate the oil's actual remaining useful life. An engine used primarily for short cold weather trips accumulates oil degradation at a rate that a mileage-based schedule dramatically underestimates. An engine used primarily for warm weather highway, driving accumulates degradation at a rate that a conservative fixed schedule overestimates. Assist Plus calculates the correct interval for your specific engine based on what it has actually experienced. The system displays the remaining service interval in the instrument cluster. Following it rather than a fixed mileage schedule means you are changing oil when it needs changing rather than when a marketing interval suggests. On short trip urban vehicles, Assist Plus frequently recommends shorter intervals than the standard schedule. On warm climate highway vehicles, it frequently recommends longer intervals. Both recommendations are correct for those specific operating conditions. The system costs nothing extra. It is already in your Mercedes calculating the correct answer every day. The owners who follow it consistently report engine condition at high mileage that their mechanics describe as exceptional. The owners who ignore it in favor of a fixed schedule are paying for oil changes on a schedule that does not match their engine's actual needs in either direction. Your Mercedes already knows when it needs service. The only question is whether you're listening to it. Hey, thanks for watching. If this video revealed features in your Mercedes that the dealership should have explained at handover, let us know in the comments which one surprised you most and which one you are activating today. Want to see the secrets that make any Mercedes last 300,000 miles without major repairs? Click on the video on the left. And if you do not want to miss more hidden premium vehicle feature guides that change how you use the car you're already paying for, hit that subscribe button right now.